Good day, guys. Welcome to my Javascript course. In our last class, we did an introduction to DOM manipulation, and we were able to cover a lot of things such as what is DOM and what is how to select element of DOM, and a lot of things that we looked at in our last class. So in today's class, all the things that we have learned from the beginning of our Javascript course down to the introduction to DOM manipulation, that is what we are going to be using to build this simple game page, this simple game website. Now let me explain the functionality of the game to you. It is very simple. Now in this game you have 10 attempts. So this game you are to guess a number between 1 to 20. You have to guess a number between 1 to 20, and you have 10 attempts to guess. So once you explore all your attempts, then the game is over. So in this case, I'm going to play the game so that you can see how the functionality works. So let's say we have 12, and I click on check. It's showing that your guess is still high. So if I reduce it and I click on this, it shows that your guess is too high. So let us explore the number of attempts that we have. Let us exhaust it. So now if I click again, can you see? It's saying what? You lost what? The game. You lost the game. Why? Because our attempt is what? We have exhausted the number of attempts, and our current score is what? Is 0. Do you get it now? Our current score is 0. So if I play again, for example, if I play again and I try to guess another number, I click, this will tell me that the guess is too high. If I click, tell me the guess is too low. This is too high, so it should be 12. Can you see? It says what? You won the game. You won, and we're able to see the secret number here. We're able to see the secret number here. So look at what we have here. 17. So 17 is our high score. So if we play again, for example, for us to be able to see the secret number that is inside of this question mark, we have to guess correctly so that we can see the secret number. Do you get it now? So our current score will now become what? Our high score. So do you get it? So if we guess again, for example, we do 14. And click, and you see you won. So in my first guess, I was able to guess it correctly. So now my high score is now 20, no longer 17. So this is if I click on this check, it's not this. It can't be what? It won't click. You see, it won't click at all. So I'll come here and click on new game. So let us see how it actually works. So before we look at creating the functionality of the guess game, there's a topic that I want us to treat in JavaScript. In DOM, there's a topic we want us to treat, and that is called what? Events in JavaScript. So what are events in JavaScript? Events in JavaScript are actions or occurrences that happens in a web page, such as a click, a key press, or a form submission. I repeat that events in JavaScript are actions or occurrences that happens in a web browser, such as when you click on a button, that's an action, such as when you press a key or when you submit a form, or when the web page loads on your browser, the load there is an action. When you mouse over an element, when you mouse over the content of your web page in the browser, that mouse over or mouse over, there is also an action in web browser. It is an action or an occurrence that happens in the web browser. So it is considered as what? An event. So an event is an action or occurrence that happens in a web browser. So JavaScript provides built-in mechanism to detect and to handle events, allowing you to create interactive web pages that respond to user action. So there are built-in mechanism that helps us to detect, meaning to listen and to handle events. So we have 3 built-in mechanisms provided by JavaScript that allows us to be able to create interactive web pages that respond to user action. So let's say, for example, let's look at common types of event. Common types of event that we have. We have click, we have key down, we have loads, we have submit, we have change, we have mouse over, we have scroll, and we have resize. So we have lots and tons of event in our web browser. We have tons and tons of events in our web browser. So you can go to the MDN official website and search for events. Then you see the list of events that we have. We have a lot of them. So, but we are just going to be looking at few of the events in this JavaScript course. And one of the most common events that you will come across is the click event. Because in your browser, you want to click on a button, you want to click on an anchor tag, you want to click on something. So one of the most common events or action or occurrence that happen in a web browser is what? The click event or the click action. So now web events are not part of the core JavaScript language, meaning the events are not part of the core JavaScript language. They are defined as part of the APIs built into browser. So you may want to ask, what's the meaning of what API? API simply means application programming interface. API simply means application programming interface. That is what API stands for. Application programming interface. So when we are talking about web APIs or browsers APIs are APIs that are built into the browser and provide us with features that we can use in our web app. That's the meaning of what web API. So I repeat, a browser API or a web API are APIs that are built into the browser and provides us with features that we can use in the web page. So one of the browsers or web API that we have is what? The event API. So this event or this API is provided for us by what? The browser. So it helps us to be able to handle events or carry out a functionality when an event occur in a browser. So let's say, for example, when you click on a particular button, you want to bring out something, or you want to bring out a new page, or you want to bring out a message or something that you want to show to your client or to the user. Now, to do that, there's an event. So the event will listen for the click. The event is going to detect the built-in mechanism will detect or will listen for the event that happened and will handle the event, meaning it will carry out a particular function when the event is what detected. So that is what it simply means. So defining an event, how do we define what an event? There are three ways that we can define an event. Number one is inline event handler. Is what inline event handler. So it means adding events in what HTML. Adding events in HTML. So now let's look at this for example. Let me go to my browser. Let's say I have a button. Let's have a button that says click me. A button that says click me. Let me open this on browser. So we have a button that is called what? Click me. Can you see? So I'm just going to make it I'm going to make this button cursor pointer. Yes, so let us see what we have. So if I click on this, can you see? So now if I click on it, nothing happens. But that is an event in the web page. That is an event in our browser. We are clicking on this button. So we want a situation whereby when we click on this button, we want to be able to do something with it. When we click on the button, we want to be able to do something. That is why while I was reading the events, when I was reading the events, what events simply means and all that, I said that JavaScript has an inbuilt mechanism that helps us to detect and to undo events. So the built-in mechanism, that is what we are going to look at. So once we click on this, the built-in mechanism will detect that there's a click event, and two is going to undo the event. So now we are going to create that event. And like I said there are three ways that we can define event. That's the inline handler, inline event handler, which simply means adding events in what HTML. So this is what we have. So let's say, for example, in this case, for the button, since we want to listen for a click event, so what we are going to do, we are going to have on click. That's what they call on click. And say on click, then we are going to pass a function. We are going to pass what? A function. A function that says console.log coming another thing, something. Okay, let's just define the function outside. Let's define the function outside. Hold on. Alright, welcome back. Sorry, I forgot to add the name of the function. That's why I was having that error. Because when I typed function, then parentheses and the curly bracket, I was having this error here. It's because I had not had what the function is, meaning, can you say identifier expected? So something is what missing. So I had to add what the function name. So I can just give it a click function or click func. Then here, what I just want to do, I just want to do something simple. I just say console.log, or let me alert instead of console.log. Let me just do console.log. Console.log, I've been clicked. So if you save this now, if you look at it, so console.log, I've been clicked. So if we come here and let us open our console, What is it? Okay, alright. Let's open our console. Let me refresh this. So if I click on this now, coming on click, okay, click me, okay, I've been clicked. Let's see, it's not working. Why is it so? Okay, let's define the function outside. Let's define the function outside. Let's define it outside. So I just let's come here. Let me write a script tag. So I'm just going to say function, then click from parentheses, then console.log just being clicked. I'm going to explain this. Just being clicked. So let's see. Alright, it's working. I've just been clicked. It's working. I've just been clicked twice. Alright, so this is it here. Let me explain. So this is an inline. This is what an inline event handler, meaning adding events into JavaScript. So it's just serving like an attribute. So it's serving like an attribute, HTML attribute. So you are adding events into HTML elements. So now in this case, whenever I click on this button, I want to perform a particular action. So for me to do that, there's an inbuilt JavaScript, there's an inbuilt mechanism provided by JavaScript that helps us to be able to detect, meaning to listen for the event and also to undo the event. So that is why we have what? OnClick. So this OnClick is actually a mechanism that helps us to listen for a click event, meaning that a button has been clicked and we want to be able to perform something or carry out something or run a particular function once a button is what? Clicked, or once an event is listened to. So once we listen for an event, we want to be able to run a function. So it is the event handler that what helps us to what runs the function. So that is what we have here. So we created a function inside of the script tag, and mind you, I didn't create it in a script that we have. What is it? This dome.js, and I have my reasons for that because we already have this. This was the dome that we did in our last class. So now, and I also told you that there are 3 ways to write JavaScript. You can have it like this, where you can write it in the body as the last element in the body tag. You can write it like this, or you can create a JavaScript file and link it. So this is just like an embedded JavaScript, just like the way we have it in CSS, where we have what? Embedded CSS, and we could embed CSS into our HTML in the head tag. So we can write CSS in our HTML. So that's that. So that is how it works for what? JavaScript. So we can embed, we can have embedded JavaScript in our HTML. So it's just going to be the last element in our body tag. So this is what we have here. So now what I did is now I call the function whenever I click this. So it means that whenever I click this button, I want to call a particular function. So there's already a mechanism that listens for the click event and carries out what? The function, or runs the function. So I don't have to call the function manually. So it is the event handler that calls the function. So the moment I click on the event, on the button, the event handler will call the function. So at every instance I click the button, the event handler will call the function. So we have what? OnClick, then equals, in a quote, we call the function here. Then inside of our script tag, we create the function or initialize the function. We create the function. You can do it in a JavaScript file, or you can embed it inside of the body tag like this, whichever one that actually makes sense to you. So this is what we have. So anytime I click this button, I'll have this console.log here. So if I click, can you see I've just been clicked, I've just been clicked, I've just been clicked, I've just been clicked. Can you see how simple it is? So that is that. Very, very, very simple. So that is how event works. So that's one way of writing what events. That's one way of writing or defining event in JavaScript. Then the second one is what the event handler property. The event handler property. So this is what it means here. In this case, let me just I don't need to remove this. So let me remove this one now. So I don't need the onClick anymore. So now for the event handler property, what I'm going to do is, let me cut this. Now in this case, this is what it means here. You are going to select what the button element. Since that's the only element that we have in this HTML file, we are going to select it because here we have an example that says element.onClick equals to what? The function that you want to run anytime this element is clicked. So this is what it means. Now you are going to select the element, and I told you that the entry point into DOM manipulation is selecting the element. So you have to select the button element. So how do we select? So we can say const btn, for example, button equals. Now we have to select the element. So we say document dot. So you can use anything. So but I'm going to use query selector. So document or query selector, because you can use document, you can use query selector to select element by its tag name, to select element by its class name, to select element by its ID, to select element by a name attribute. So in this case, I'm going to use query selector to select this button element by its tag name. So I'm going to do something like button. So that's it. So now if I console the log button, let us see what we have if we correctly selected this button element. So let us see. Refresh. Yes, can you see? I have the button here. Can you see? Click me. That's the button here. So, and the reason why we're having it first is because this script tag is coming before this one here. Alright, so now that we've done that, so what we are going to do is we are going to now attach the onClick to this button that we have selected according to what we have here. So you attach onClick to the element that you have selected using any of the methods of selecting HTML elements in DOM. So now that we have selected the element and we have stored it or saved it inside of what? The btn attribute. So we are going to attach the onClick on btn. So we say btn dot onClick. Can you see? OnClick equals then the function that we have. So this is the function that we have. So whenever, so I don't need this anymore. Let me just remove it. But I'll keep it coming. I'll just comment it here. So if I save now if I click on this, for example, can you see? I've just been clicked. Can you see? I've just been clicked. Can you see? I've just been clicked. So that is another way of defining events in JavaScript. That's another way of defining events in JavaScript. So you select the element that you want to run a particular function once a particular event is listed. So you can just attach it btn.onClick. btn.onClick equals to function blah 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 blah. Then you pass in whatever you want to pass in. So now in this case, now we are using this example console.log, but in real life, in real project, we don't use console.log. Whenever we click on the button, we want to show another HTML file element, maybe probably whenever you click on something, it should take you to another page, or whenever you click on something, there should be a drop down of an element or whatever you get. So that's that actually. So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Now there's also another there's another way that we can define element in JavaScript, and which is add event listener. And this is the recommended mechanism for adding events in event handler. So we have looked at two. One mechanism is what inline event handler, that is adding events in HTML as attribute. Then event handler property, meaning you select a property, then you attach what the event handler to it, then you write the function that you want to run whenever an event is what detected. Then this case here is also similar to this, but you are having what add event listener. So the add event listener performs two functions. It listens for a particular event, then it runs a particular function. So this is the recommended mechanism for adding events in what event handler. It is the recommended mechanism above these two other mechanisms. So whenever you are adding events to a particular element and you want to run a particular function, this is the recommended mechanism for adding events handler to elements. So please take note of that. Alright, so now in this case, I'm just going to remove this on click. So let me just cut this, for example. Cut it. So now for the bit, now that we've already selected the element, so we'll just do btn dot add event listener. So add event listener, then this add event listener receives two parameter or two callback function. Yes, two parameter exactly. It receives two arguments. Yes, it receives two arguments. The first one is what? The name of the click. The name of the event. I'm saying click. The name of the event or the type of event that you want the add event listener to listen on. So the type of event that we want this add event listener to listen on is the click event. So we put it inside of a code. So it's going to be like a string, then comma, then we pass in the function like this. We pass in the function. So it means that once we attach an add event listener to a button, what this mechanism does is to first of all listen for the event that we specified, and in this case it is what the click event. Then once it listens for the event, then it runs this function. So this add event listener has two functions. It detects the event, the type of event, and it runs or handles what the function. So this is it here. So whenever I come in, if I click on this now, it's just giving me the same thing. So the add event listener is the recommended mechanism for adding what event what handler. So this is what we are going to be using more often than not. So now in this case, let's see. So in the guess game, we are going to look at the guess game. So now this guess game, let me refresh. In this guess game, this is how we are going to do it. Whenever we enter a number, we will compare the number that we have entered to the secret number here. If it matches, then we win the game. But if it doesn't matches, then the attempt that we have will reduce. So how do we do that? All this functionality is wrapped up inside of what this check button. So whenever we click on this check button, then our function will begin to run. You get it now? Our function will begin to run. So when we click on this check button, the check button, we will add an event listener to the check button that will listen for the check event, and it's going to run a particular function. It's going to run this function, and the function is going to check if 12 is equal to the secret number. If it is equal to the secret number, then it's going to give us, it's going to say we win. And if it is not equal to the secret number, it's going to suggest to us whether the number that we impute is higher than the number in the secret, is higher than the secret number or is lower than the secret number. So like that. And also, if we do not pass anything at all, if we not pass anything at all, we click on check. You say no number or is 0 is what entered. No number or is 0 is what entered. So if you click on the 0 again, I will click. Can you see no number or a 0 is what entered? So we are only looking for a number between 1 to 20. So if you enter a 0 or you don't enter anything at all and click on check, this is what you are going to have. No number or a 0 is what entered. So now let us go straight to creating the functionality. But first of all, we are going to create the HTML and the CSS of this game app. So let's go straight in. So here I'm going to create a file, and I will call it let me just copy this and duplicate it. So here it's going to be, where is it? Here this is going to be week class 3 now. So I'm just going to remove this. So I'm going to delete this. So then change this to guess game. Or let's say game.html. Then another one. Sorry. Then what do you call it now? Game.css. Then another one. Game.js. So this is what we have. So let us create the HTML file of that website. So it is very simple. So I'm going to call this guest game. I'm going to call this guest game app or guest game web app. Yeah, guest game web app. So yeah, let us start with the HTML. Let us create the structure of the page. The structure of the page. Now we are going to have like a header section. The header section. Or let me call this. A div.header. Now we're going to have a button. Button is going to have the class of btn and new game. So it's going to have two classes. It's going to have two class things, and like I told you that a class can have more than two values, can have more than one value. So can you see this class has two values or two names, the btn and what the new game. I'm going to show you why I'm doing that when we get to the JavaScript part. So the next one is a div, and I'm going to call it iScores. So we are going to have like a trophy icon. So to do that is very simple. Just if you are using Windows, for you to be able to get icons, is it icons now or emojis? You just have to click on the Windows and dots. That's what you have. Windows and dots. The window key and dots. So let us search for trophy. This could be good. Then after that, we're going to have high scores or highest scores. Then in the highest scores, we're going to have a span. That span is going to have a class of what should we call it now? Let's give the class of high score. So we are going to give it a simple, just a placeholder of 0. So let me change this to high score. Let's just leave it like this. So I think that's that. So we are going to have another div. I'll call it main section. So in this case, we are going to have h2 that says guess my number, and we are going to have a p tag that says p tag that has a class of message. So we are going to give it guess the number between 1 to 20, and for the game, I'm going to have a div. I'm going to call it div dot secret. Am I correct? Secret number. So it's going to be something like this. Yeah. Then we are going to have another section. Div dot. Let me call it number section now. Number section. So in there we are going to have an input. So the type is going to be the type of number. Yes. It's going to be the type of number, not a type of text. And the class, we are going to give it the class name input number. Then we are going to give it a placeholder. A placeholder which says enter your guess. Enter your guess. Then we are also going to have a button. The button is going to have a class of btn, then btn check. So I'm going to call it check. Check. So in the last session will be div dot score section. And here we're going to have a div that says score. So we have a key tag that says current score. Then a span that has an found, we're going to give it an ID of current score, say 20. Then duplicate it. Here we'll say attempt left. Attempt left. So we are going to give it an ID of attempts left. So here the attempts. So I think that is all. Now let's see. That is all for now. Alright, I think that's all. So I'm going to do, I think that's much everything. So the header section is what we have of the new game and the high score. And if you look at it here, correct, the new game and the high score. Then the main section is where we have the guess my number, and the message and the secret number. That's what we have here. You see, guess my number, the message, guess a number between 1 to 20, and the secret number. So it's going to be easy. It is only when you get it correctly that is when it's going to, the secret number is going to be revealed. Then we also have the, what they call it now, the number section. That is the input. So this enter your guess. So this enter your guess is the placeholder that we have in the input, and this input is a type of number. That is why we have this arrow up and arrow down here. Then we have the check button. Then this is the section for scores. So that's much about the structure of what the website. So if you of the web application, so if you view this in your browser, this is how it's going to look like. This is the HTML structure of the web page. So this is the HTML structure of this web application. It's very simple, right? So now coming, go down. So now you can see that it's not even close to what we have here. It's not even close to what we have here. So we are going to use CSS to style it. So what we are going to do is to link our CSS. So I'm just going to do something like link CSS file. So here we're going to do link CSS. So it's no longer, it's not the name of the CSS file that we have created is game.css, not style.css. So it's going to be game.css. So that's what we have. So let's come to the CSS file. So the first thing that we need is to import a nice font. Because the font that we have here, that means the font family, that's what I'm talking about. The font family that we have here, we have to download it, or we have to use Google Fonts to be able to use this font family that we have here. So to do that, we'll come here, we search for Google Fonts. So click on this, their official website, Google Fonts. So fonts.google.com. So click on it. So I think I already have it selected here. Can you see? Press start to pick. That's the name of the font family. So in this Google Font, we have tons and tons of font family that you can use. Can you see Roboto and all that? You can use a lot of font families in your there are a lot of font family that you can use in your website. So all you just have to do is to copy the link or to import the font family. So how to search for this? So you come to this search font. So I'm just going to type on press start. So the moment I I type press, it's going to bring out this one for me. So I'm going to click on it. So this is the preview. This is how the phone family looks like. So we want our guest game web application to look like a Sega kind of, to look like a Sega. So so this is how I want it to look like. So I have this kind of nice fonts family. So to select this, you just come here and you click on select. Can you see? I've already selected. That's why you have this remove regular font. If I click on it, you will see something like select regular font. So I'll click on it. It means that I'll be what? Selected. So for me to see it, I'll come to this part that says view selected family. This part. So I'll click on it. So can you see how we are interacting with the website? Even in this, we are interacting with the events of the browser in this website. So when I click on this, it brings out this. Now watch. Just watch what's happening. So this is event. So everything that we are doing here is events. If I click now, all this that we are doing is also event. If I type press, this is event. So whenever I type press, it's going to bring out this font family for me. So if I click on this now, it's going to come to this. It's going to bring this page of this font family to me. So if I click on this, see what is bringing, select regular font. And if I click on it again, it says remove regular font. You can see how we are running, how we are handling the events. Can you see how simple it is? So one of the most common event types that we have, or that is being provided to us by the browser's API, is what? The click event. So now we have selected it. So when we click on this, it's going to bring out this page here. Can you see? So this is what we have selected. So now we are going to copy the link. We can copy the link or we can embed the link. You can import the link. So now let me show you. I'm going to show you how to use Google Fonts in our HTML or in our HTML5 document. So this is it here. We have two options. Either we copy the link or we import. So let me show you this first. Copy the link. If we copy link like this, we can come to this place. It's going to copy. So we'll come to our HTML part here. We'll come inside of the head tag. Then we paste it. We paste it like this. Then we can now use the font family. We can either do it like this. So let me just comment this. Let me say Google font link. So I can either do it like this or comment this. I can import. So I can just come here, click on this part. It's going to give me the CSS tag of this. So I don't want the style tag, so I just going to copy this part. What we have in between the style tag. I'm going to copy it. Then I'll come to my CSS file. Then I'll paste it there. So it's going to be the first thing that should be in my CSS file. So whenever I'm importing a Google font into my CSS file, the Google font I'm importing should be the first element or the first thing in my CSS file. So that's that. And the next thing I want us to look at is to do a CSS reset or CSS style reset. So to do that, we'll say we select the universal. We use the universal selector to select all the elements in the HTML document. Then we'll say margin to be 0, padding to be 0, box sizing to be border box. We save. Now the next thing is also to set the font family. So to set the font family, since we've already selected, we've imported the font family. So to get the font family, so this is it. This is the font family. And see font family. Press start 2P or cursive. So we're going to copy this. So now I want to apply it to all of the elements. So I'm just going to paste it here. So all of the elements, including the button, including the input, including the placeholder of the input, I want this font family to be the font family of all of the elements. That's why I'm putting it in this universal selector. So now this only works if you are connected to the browser. If you are connected, if you are connected to the internet. If you are not connected to the internet, this press start to pay will not reflect in your web page. It's going to fall back on discursive. It's going to fall back on discursive. So that's that. So let's continue. So if you notice so can you see this is what we have now? This is what we have. So what we are going to do next, before we style the body up, let us style the body. Let's say body. We want the body background to be black. So I'm going to say black like this. So we save. Let us see what we have. Can you see black? So the next thing is to style the btn. So say dot btn. We want to give it a body of 10 pixel. We want to give it an outline of 1. We want to give it a border of 1 as well. Then a cursor to the pointer. Then we want a transition to be a 0.5 second. So when we over the button, that's .btn over. We want the opacity to be 0.8. So if we save, it's going to affect all the button I see. All the button that we have here. Know that this button that we have here, these two buttons, they both have one common class name and different names, and another different name. Let me show you here. For the button, where is it? Can you see where is it? The button has what? Two class names, btn and new game. While the other button here has what? btn and btn check. So you can see that they are the same. They have the same. The first name is the same, while the second name is unique to each button. So let's proceed. Let's move to the header section. So let's say header display flex. So let us see what we have. Display flex. Alright. The reason why I can't see it is because the color is black. You don't see other button to be 2 pixel solid and white. Let us see. Okay, it's supposed to be div.header. Sorry. You see div.header. So here I'm going to add in top and bottom should be 20 pixel, left and right should be 40 pixel. So let's see. Good. And the next is to use a justify content. That's space between, and align item. That's center. So if you don't understand all these CSS terminologies, please ensure that you please go and watch my CSS course so that you'll be able to understand how to style. So this is what we have. Very, very, very simple. You see it? Interesting. So that is what we have. Where is it? That's what we have here. So select the ice course. So I can center this because this is not properly centered. So click it's a div, but ice course, if I'm not mistaken. That's it. Alright. Div.ice course. Display flex. Align. Let's just leave it. So just increase. Maybe I should have just put this inside of it in this separate tag. But let's move on. Let's move on. So the next thing on my list is to start the new game. So let me say display present dot new game. So let's display and look and do something like a match. Right? Do I need it? I don't think I need it. Let me see. I think it's fine like this. I think I need the new game. So I think it's fine. So let us look at dot btn check dot disable. I'm going to explain this. Say pointer event to what? So on the color, what would be F55050. So let us start the main section now. So dot main section. So main section. You can just leave it at main section. That's it. Say color white. Border pixel. Solid white. Text align to the center. I want the width of 500 pixels. Then the margin 702. And the padding top and bottom 40 pixels. So let us see what we have. So this is what we're about. So now I want to move this secret number, this question mark. I want to make it relative to this. I want to bring it to this point here, just like the way we have it here. Let's see where it's just like the way we have it here. That's what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this position relative. So let's start the dot main section. Let's start the h2. So say margin bottom 10 pixels. Wow, this secret number will be font size of 50 pixels. Width of 50 pixels. Height of 70 pixels. Display text and justify content. Center. Align. Background color, white, then color, black. Now let's see what we have. This one. Position, absolute, left, 40. Sounds good. Okay. See, let's do transform, translate x. Let's do so let us start the number section. So say give the number section. So here we're going to display flex direction column. Then say width up to 20 pixel. Margin 80 pixel up to basically good. So here in this case, for the input number, I want to look at the placeholder. I want to start the placeholder, so say placeholder. I want the font size 11 pixel. Then for the input number itself, we want the outline to be none and the border to be none as well, and the padding 15 pixel and 10 pixel. So I think we are almost done. So let us see what we have. Good. So here we are going to, for the score section, we have color to be white, text align to be center, want a width of 300 pixel and a margin of 0 and 2, and a border of 2 pixel solid and white. Then the padding top and bottom should be 20 pixel, left and right 0. So you see, let us see what we have. Fantastic. So here we are going to create a space between these two elements that we have. So I can just come here, where is it? Come here and do a line break. So this is what we have. Right. So now let us select the P tag. So that should be this course section here. We want to select the P tag. Correct. Select the P tag. Only course even having it inside the TV clip. So we this one. Still doesn't just like this. So you see dot cross section the P. We want font size to 40 pixels. The margin bottom to be 3 pixels. Can you let's see. Instead of doing it like this, you can make this display to be flex direction to be cooler, then gap should like 20 pixels. So then the dot score section and the span. What we want is margin left 5 pixels. Alright, good, fantastic. So we are done with styling our guest game web app. So this is what we have so far. So now let us start with the functionality. So I'm going to link my JS file. So please don't forget to link your JS file. So it's going to be the last element in the body tag. So I'm going to do script. So here is going to be game.js. So game.js. So right now this web app is static. It's not doing anything. If I click on button, nothing is happening. If I click on this, nothing is happening. This is just static. It doesn't have any functionality at all. So we have to make it have a function. So to make it have a function, so the first thing that we need to do is the first thing that we need to do in manipulating this element is to select the things, to select the elements that we are going to be manipulating, because it is not all the elements we are going to manipulate. Actually, we only want to manipulate some of the elements. So in this case, we are going to add functionality. We are going to select this new game because we are going to use it. We are also going to select this is 0, this number here. We are going to use it too. We don't need this ice course and this trophy. We are going to select this. We are also going to select this guess game number between 1 to 20 because that's the message that will be displayed. If we win the game, it's going to type a 1. If our guess is low, it's going to type your guess is low. If our guess is high, it's going to type our guess is high, like that. And we're also going to select this one too. This input. We're also going to select the check button. So how many are we selecting? New game 1, 2, the message 3. The secret number, we're also going to select the 4, the guess game, the input 5, the check 6, then the I score 7, then the attempt left 8. Also the body. We're also going to select that's 9 because once we win, it's going to change the color from black to green, and if we lose, it's going to change the color from black to red. So that is all the 9 elements that we need in this. That we need to select for us to be able to create our functionality for this guest game web application. Alright, let us proceed. Now, in this case, let's start with selecting our element. So I'm going to come here, let's demarcate, let's do so. So here, I'm going to say selecting your element. Alright, so let's proceed. So the first thing that I want to select is to select the body element. Body element. So here we're going to say const body equals document dot query selector into body. So we are selecting by its tag name. So let us select the button element, buttons element, button element. So it's going to be const. That's a btn new. So that btn new game. So I'm going to document dot query selector. So we are going to select this class name. So if you come here, the new game here, where is it? The button that has what? New game. So this is element I want to select, not this btn, because this btn is a generic class name. Because another button also has this name btn. So I'm just going to select this one because this new game is a class name that is unique to this button element. So that's what we're going to select in our JavaScript. We'll say dot new game like this. So I've not forgotten how to select class using query selector. Then the next one is going to be const btn check. That will be document dot query selector. And here it's going to be dot btn then check. Simple. Then I'm going to select the I scores. So the I score, the current score, and attempts left limit. So let us see. So say const dot I score. So I score element is going to be document dot selector. So and that is, let us see what we have here for the I score. Let us see the class name. So the name of this, so the I score that I want to select is not this one, it's this one here. This is 0 and it is wrapped inside of the span. So and the span has a class of what I score. So this is what we want to select. So come here and we say dot paste it there. Then here say const, say current score, document dot query selector. So let us look at the current score. That's it. So this is the current score. This one here that is inside of the span. So we copy it. So it is actually an ID. So you know how to select an ID. So it's not going to be dot, it's going to be what hash. But ID. So same thing, const. And we have attempt left el. Equals document dot query selector then we're done with that. So let us select the message, the input, and the secret number elements. So Alright, so say const say message equals to document dot reselector. So what's the name that will take the message of this message? Let's copy this. Paste it. So the dot message. Next one, const input input elements. Dot query selector. So you can see how powerful query selector is. So I use query selector here lots. I use it a lot. So as the guess, use the guess number, copy it. Paste it here. I think the last element that we need to select from our domain element is that should be the secret number. Secret number. That'll be document dot query selector. So here, of course, it's a class. So what's the secret number? Right, I think I have it. Secret number. Copy. Paste it here. Save. So I think that's all the elements I want to select. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we selected the 9 elements that we're going to be using in creating the functionality of this web application or this game. So the next thing we are going to do is to now create global variables. Global variables. Global what? Variables. Because what we want to do is this. In our websites or in our web app game, we have this score set to what? 0. And we have this score set to what? 20. So now all these numbers that we have here is actually a DOM element. So we want to also have it in our JavaScript. So we want to create a global variable and have this number stored inside of it. So like this our template, okay, this our template should be 20, not this our template should be 20. Should be 20, or is it not 10? So it should be 10 or 20. What am I thinking? So we want to have this number here because what we have here is that this 10, 20, they are content of the domain element. They are content of the domain element. This is 0 to as well. What I want to do is this. I want us to create a global variable so that we can have our own number saved inside of our JavaScript file. So we can say let I scores. Now the reason why I'm using let is because we are going to be using this in our elements. We are going to be using it in our functionality. So let current score be what? 20. And let me make this current like this. Let me just leave it as current score. Let me make it very short. Cost of why it should be I score equals to 0. Select attempts length equals to 10. So this is what we have. So we want to have our own saved inside of what? In our JavaScript file. So this is what we have here. So we have assigned 20 to this. So we are not working with the numbers that we have here. We don't want to work with the numbers that we have here. We are going to manipulate it. So let's move on. So now what we are going to do is we want to generate a number from 1 to 20. We want to generate a number from 1 to 20. And how do you think we can generate a number from 1 to 20? It's going to be a random number. A random number from 1 to 20. So to do that, there is a method that we can use. So let me just say generate a random number. So there's a method that we can use that belongs to the math method in JavaScript that we haven't gotten to yet. In our subsequent class, we are going to get into some methods in mathematics and all that. So, but here in this case, we want to create or generate a random number between 1 to 20. So what we are going to do is to generate a random number. To generate a random number, all we just need is what? Math.random. So this is it. So this is what? Math.random. So math.random generates a number between a 0 and 1. Can you see? It returns a single random number between what? 0 and 1. So it returns a number between 0 and 1. But it's not going to return 1 exactly as an integer. It's going to return a number between 0 and 0.99999 something. So it's not going to give you 1 exactly as a figure. So if you console the log list now, for example, if you console the log, or let me tie this with the click button. Let me see. Where's the check now? So let me see. I'm going to show you something now. Just hold on. Let me btn check dot add event listing. So I want to listen for the click event. So I want to run this function, and this function is going to be this. So I just want to console the log math.random. So now let's see what we have. So if I open this now, come to my console. Okay. So anytime I click on this, it generates what? A random number from the 0 to 1. Can you see? It won't give me 1 exactly. It's going to give me 0. So it's just going to give me a decimal number. So if I keep clicking, it gives me a different number. Can you see? If I keep clicking, it gives me a different number. So what math.random does is to generate a random number between what is 0 to 1. So if I want a random number between 0 to 20, I can just do math.random then times 20. So it's not going to give me exactly 20, it's just going to give me the highest number is going to be 19 point something. So if we view this now and I click, can you see 19.9? It won't give me exactly 20. So this is it. So fantastic. So now there's also a method, because in this case now, what we want is, we don't want these decimal numbers here. We only want the integer. We only want what? The integer. We don't want the decimal number. We want what? Integers. So for us to be able to get the integers, what do you think we are going to do? We are going to cut the integer. So there's a method in mathematics that is called math.trunc. It is called math.trunc. So all this that I have here, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to cut it out. And I'm going to put it here. Math.trunc. So math.trunc, it cuts out the decimal part of an element of the math.random number. So I'm just going to paste it here. So all the decimal number that we have is going to cut it out. So can you see? It returns the integral part of a numeric expression, removing any fractional digit. So it's going to remove all those decimal numbers. So if I save now and I come here and I click, so can you see? You can't see the decimals again. I'll keep clicking. Can you see the highest number is what? 19. It will never give me what? 20. So we have the number is from 0 towards 19. So if I want to have up to 20, what I'm going to do is what? Is to add 1 to it. Is to add what? 1 to it. So it's going to be outside of the parentheses of what? The trunk method. So we are going to do something like plus what? 1. Can you see? So math.trunk times 20 inside of the parentheses of math.trunk. Then outside of the parentheses of math.trunk, we have the plus 1. So if we save this now, so please look at this expression very well, because this is what we use to generate a random number. So if you save this now, click check, can you see 20 is giving us 20, 3, 11, 8, 2, 13, like that. Can you see? So it's not going to give us 0 again. We are not going to have a 0. It's going to be now from 1 to what? 20. It's going to be from 1 to 20. So can you see? So this is how we generate what? Random numbers. Very interesting. So please bear that in mind. This is how to generate a random number. So to cut out the decimal number, you use what? Math.trunk, and it is very simple. So please, there's nothing mystical about this. So what we are going to do is, so since we already understand what it means, I just need to cut this out and remove this event list and everything. So we are just going to save that random number that we have generated. We are going to save it into a variable. And we are going to say let's say let secret number now. Let secret num be equals to this. So this random number that we have generated is going to be stored in the secret number variable. So now what we are going to do is to now to create the game functionality. Let us create the game functionality since that we've initialized and selected elements that we need. So let us please hold on. That's functionality. So let us build the game functionality now. So now that we've selected all the elements, we've initialized our global variable, we generated a random number, so we want to add an event listener to the check. So once we add an event listener to the check, so say btn check dot add event listener, btn check dot add event listener. Then what we are going to do is this. So btn check dot add event listener. So we are going to listen for the click event. So here we are going to perform a function. So say function. Then let's move on. So now whenever we click on the check, we want to get whenever I want to click on the check, please, I want you to take note of this now. We have gotten to the functionality where we want to build logic. Whenever we click on the check button, we want to check if the attempt that we have left is greater than 0. If the attempt that we have is greater than 0. So we are going to do something like this. We are going to say if the attempt left, that means this attempt that we have here, which is number 10, which has a value of 10. We are going to say attempt left, if it is greater than 0, then we want to do something. But if it is not greater than 0, if it is less, if it is a 0 downwards, that means the person has lost the game. So let's create the lost. We can do something like lost game. So let us create the functionality for that. Now in this case, once the attempt is greater than 0, we are going to check if the attempt left is greater than what is 0. Then we want to perform something. And if the attempt left is not greater than 0, that means the person has lost the game. Then we'll do something like that. We'll change the message to, since we selected the message, so say message L. Then dot text content. Of course, you already know the meaning of text content. So we want to change the text content to be equals to. Text content to be equals to. Okay, this is what we are going to do. Okay, let's make it like this. Change the text content to be equals to you lost the game. There is something like an emoji. Let's do something like sad. Something like this. Yes. That's what we want. So if the attempt is less than what? 0. So now let's move on. Now, if the attempt is greater than 0, we want to keep reducing the number of the attempts. So it simply means once I keep clicking on this, once I keep clicking on this, for example, if I keep clicking on it, each time I click on this check, I want the attempt to reduce. Each time I click on this check, I want the attempt to reduce. So now, we want to know if the attempt is greater than 0, that is only when we want to reduce the attempt. We only want to reduce the attempt left if the attempt left is greater than what is 0. But if the attempt left is not greater than 0, that means the person has lost what? The game. So we'll do something like this. To reduce the attempt left by 1, you just do minus minus. So now you remember all the things I've taught you in the beginning of JavaScript class, that if you want to reduce a number by 1 or decrease a number by 1, you use what? Minus minus. So this means that anytime I click on the check, the attempt reduces by 1 until this condition is no longer true, whereby it is no longer greater than 0. That is when it's going to come to this else block. Then it's going to what? Execute what we have here. So do you get it now? The only time this if block will be executed is when the condition still holds true, when the attempt left is greater than 0. So let's say, for example, the value of the attempt is what? 10. 10 is greater than 0. So when we click on the check button, the attempts will reduce, because all of this functionality that we are going to create is tied to what? To the btn check button. So now once we click on the check button, the attempt, which is 10, will reduce to what? 9. If you click again, it will reduce to 8. As we keep clicking, it will reduce down to 1. So it will check, is 1 still greater than 0? Yes. But when we click again, it will reduce to what? Is 0. So if 0 is not greater than 0, therefore it's going to come to what? To this else block and execute the code that we have here. So as long as attempts left is greater than 0, we want to keep reducing what? The attempts left. And aside from that, we want to also change the attempt left L. That means the one that we selected here, the attempt left L, which is this one here, attempt left, this 10 here. We want to substitute it with, we want to change the text content to be the attempt left. Text content to be equals to attempt left. So please, these two, they are different. This attempt left L is the one that we selected in our HTML DOM element. Why this attempt left is the one that we initialize with a value of what? 10. So this is what it means. So can you see? So if I come here now and I click on check, can you see it's reducing to 9? If I click on check, it will reduce to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I click again, then it gives me what? We lost the game. Notice that I had to click like, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then 11. I don't know why it's like that, but you know what we are going to do? We are going to make it 1 instead of 10. Instead of 0, we are going to make it what? 1. As long as it is greater than what? 1. So let's see if it's going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once we get to the 10th part, so what we are going to do is to change the text content of, is to do something like this. attempt left L dot test content to be what is 0. So let's do it like this. So now so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you see? 0. So do you see this message here? You lost what? The game. Very, very simple. So the reason is because, so when we do attempt greater than 0, we are going to have 9 attempts, so we have to do greater than 1. So that is that. So I think that's that. So we'll be able to create this first functionality. So can you see the if else statement that we learned the length in the course of as we started the JavaScript class? Can you see this one too? Many things, the test content, everything. So can you see it? And now the next thing that I want to check is this. So we've created this functionality, we've created the functionality of the attempt left and all that. So once we click on check, this will what? Reduce. So now, whenever we pass a number here, we want to get the value of the number. Whenever I pass a number into this button, so that is what we want to look at the implementation. So we are going to say, let guess be equals to input L dot what? Value. Input L dot value. So it means that anything that I type here, for example, if I type 10 or 12, for example, and if I click on check, I should be able to get the guess number. So I'll say console.log guess. So for me to be able to get the value of anything that I typed inside of the input field, for me to get that, I'll have to select the input field, then attach a value property to it. So this dot value helps me to be able to get whatever that I type or whatever that I put into the input field. So in this case now, if I do 13 and I press click, let us see what we have. Can you see 13? Now we have what? 13. Because we pass in what? 13. So now we have what? 13. Very simple. So let's move on. So let's move on. So to get the value of whatever that you pass into the input field, you just need what? The dot value property. So you first of all select the input. You select the input using any of the methods of selecting DOM elements of HTML. Then you now attach dot input as the property. So for you to be able to get the value, dot value to the element of the input that you have selected, so that you can be able to get the value of what you pass into the input. So now with this guess, now we are going to create another logic. Now we are going to have nested if-else statement. So all the things that we have learned, if-else statement, nested if-else statement, multiple if-else statement, we are going to be implementing it in creating this functionality. So now in this case, we are going to say if there is no guess. Are you with me? If there is no guess. So let's say, for example, if there is no guess simply means not guess. That's what it means. Not guess. Or we can say if guess is equals to empty field, or if guess is equals to 0. Can you see? Because we don't want 0 and we don't want empty. Because if you console.log something, let's say console.log guess, for example, and we save. Here now, what's it? 36. Okay. Let's do something. I'll press enter. Can you see it's giving me empty space here? And if I click on check and I'm not passing anything here, if I click on check button and I'm not passing any value into this input field, it's going to give me an empty this thing here. So it is an empty string. Do you get it now? But if I also pass it 0, it's going to give me 0. But I don't want 0 as a number. The number I want is 1 to 20. So if we have a guess that is equals to empty field, empty string, or that is a guess that is equals to a 0. So I think I've explained this all to you. It's a logical operator. We have or, we have and, we have not. So if we do something like this, if the guess is equals to an empty field or is 0, so what we want is we want to change the message. We want the message, the text content of the message to be equals to let me use this before that now. Let me use danger. So let's use okay, stop. Let's use stop. So let's use this one. Yeah. So say no number or a 0 is entered. So let's save. So if we do this now, let's say we click on this. Can you see no number or a 0 is what enter? So if I click on, let's refresh. So if I click on the 0, I see it's giving me 0. If get is equals to a 0. Coming because a 0 is a false value by default. A 0 is a false value by default. So if I pass it 0, I'm coming. I think the best thing to do. I'm coming. Okay, what we are going to do is this. Instead of doing it like this, we can do something like this. If it is not a guess, that means if it is not a guess, meaning if nothing is passed into it or a 0 is passed into it, this is what we are going to allow. So let me type 0. So am I getting? If it is not a guess, then no number or a 0 is entered. Please hold on. Alright, I get now. Now, listen, I understand where the problem is coming from. Now I get. Now the problem is this: anything that we pass here, if we pass in a number here, it's going to give you that number that you pass, the value, but the data type is a string. Remember, the data type is what? A string. So anything that you pass into the input field, whether it is a number, is going to return to you that value, but it's going to give it to you as a string data type. So we now have to convert it. We have to do a type conversion. We have to convert it manually or explicitly. So in this case, what we are going to do is to either convert this. We are going to convert this to a number data type by using plus like this. So this is what I'm talking about, by using plus like this, or by putting this inside of the number constructor like this. So do you get it now? So in this way, it's going to convert the value that we pass into the input field toward a number data type, because even though we pass a number, but it's giving it to us as a string data type, so we have to convert it to a number data type. So now with that, this our logic will work. If the guess number is what, empty, or if the guess number is what, is 0. So if any of this is false, it's going to give you this. That's the meaning of what, or. If any of this is false, it's going to give you this. If any of this is false, it's going to give you this. So do you get it now? So we can even make it better. We can isolate this, what they call it, we can isolate this condition to have its own separate condition, in the sense that we can do something like else if guess is equals to what is 0, instead of having this or. If guess is equals to what is 0, then we want to have something like this. So we are creating multiple if statements. So say no number entered, no number entered, no number entered, or we can also do something like copy and message dot text content equals, then we'll say 0 entered, something like this. Instead of combining it together, 0 is entered, or 0 entered, or which English, whichever one. So if I type 0 now, I click 0 is entered. So can you see? So if I click something, let's say if I refresh and I click something like this, can you see 0 is entered? I'm happy. 0 is entered. I'm coming. Dot empty field. Okay. Let's just bring it back to the normal one. Let's bring it back. Let's save it. Let's bring it back. So this is what we have. So if we save, and if I click on something like this, it's giving me an empty string. Okay, I get. Alright, now whenever we when we converted this to a number, when we converted the input field to a number, so even though we not type anything here, we'll click on check. It's giving us what is 0. Do you get it now? And if we click on is 0, it's also giving us what is 0. So the reason why it is like that is because we already converted the value of this input field to what, a number. So empty string is going to give, so empty value, let me use that word, empty value is going to return what is 0 to you. Let me show you. Can you see is 0? And even though I pass in is 0 now, for example, it's going to give me what is 0. So that's it. The reason is because I already converted the value of the input field to what is 0. So empty, and if the value is empty, it's going to return is 0 to you. So that is what we have here. So I don't think I need this one anymore. So you can see the way we are enhancing the logic. So you can see the way we are enhancing this logic. Now if we save this and we come here, even though we click on this, can you see no number entered or 0 is entered? And if I refresh, if I type what is 0, can you see? So now it is still what the same thing. So now if we say guess is equals to 0, or we can also do something like, we can also enhance this better and say if there is no guess. Do you get it? Because if we say if there is no guess, we want to what? Console the log. We want to change the text content to this. But if this one is difficult for you to understand for now as a beginner, let's just make this equals to 0. Like this. So if guess is equals to 0, then if we click on this, and you see, if we refresh, we pass also a 0 into it, and you see. So that's that. So one thing I want you to note is that whenever you convert the value of an input field to a number, whenever you convert the value of an input field to a number, that means what you are going to get is what if you did not pass any value to it, you are going to get a 0. And maybe the reason is because let me change this to a text, for example. Let me change this to a text. We are experimenting here actually. Let me change this to a text and let me pass nothing. Let me click. It's giving me 0. Good. If I type 0 2, it's also giving me what is 0. Fantastic. I like that. So let me come back here. So with this, we bring it back to number. So now once you convert the value of the input field to a number and you do not pass any value to it and you click it, it's going to give you what is 0. If you pass it 0, it's going to give you what is 0. So we are now saying if the guess is equal to 0, we want to have this message .l. The text content to be changed to this. Then else if. Now this is a multiple if else statement now. Now if the guess is not 0, are you with me? That means if the guess is not 0. Now if the guess is not 0 now. Now I want to check, want to now compare if the guess is different from the secret number. So to do that, we are going to do is not equals to the word secret number. So if the guess is not equals to the secret number, this is what we are going to do. If the guess is not equals to the secret number, this is what we are going to do. We are going to say let message. We are going to do a ternary operator now. Let message be equals to so here we are going to say if guess is greater than secret number. So we want this, you say your guess, if you do that, you say your guess is high. And I'm going to explain, just don't worry. Guess is high, something like this. Or if it is not, we say your guess is low, something like this. Graph, so do this one low. So can you see? So yeah, I'm now going to do something like message.l text content equals to what? Message. This is what we have. Now pay attention. What we did here is this. After we've checked if the guess is equal to 0, then we want the text content of the message elements to be what? No number or a 0 is entered. Then afterwards, we want to check if the guess is different from the secret number, which simply means it's not equals to the secret number. That's what it simply means. It's different from. Remember this sign or this symbol. This is a loose strict equals to. So we say if guess is not equals to the secret number, or if it is different from the secret number, we want something. Now we are using a ternary operator here because we could have used another if-else statement, but I don't want too much of if-else statement. So now we now say, okay, let message be equals to, if guess is greater than secret number, then we want to have this message, your guess is high. But if it is less than secret number, we want to say your guess is low. So if you don't understand ternary operator, please go back and watch the previous videos that I explained conditional statement. So please, it's very important. So now, if guess is greater than secret number, so you are going to have this message. So this message, your guess is high, is going to be stored as a value into this variable message. But if the guess is low, then we are going to have this one stored inside of this. So the value that we have here, any of this value will be stored inside of the message variable. That is what we are going to now display in the message element of the UI. This one here, this message UI here. That is what we are going to display. So we are going to say, we are saying message element dot text content equals to what? Message, this one here. So whatever value that is assigned to this message is dependent on if the guess is higher than the secret number or is lower than the secret number. So that's that. And also, we also want the high scores to reduce. Sorry, the current scores to reduce, because the current scores value is what? 20. So anytime we guess and the guess doesn't match the secret number, we want the attempt left to reduce, and we want the secret number, the current number, to also what? Reduce. So do you get that? The only time the current number will reduce is when we pass in what? A real guess value aside from what is 0. But if you not pass in a real guess value, this current scores will remain as what? 20. So do you get it now? But the attempt left will be what? Reducing. So, but if we pass a number between 1 to 20, and if the number that we pass is different from the secret number, the current score will keep reducing as well as what? The attempt left. So here, we are also going to do something like current score will be what? Minus minus. So that's what we have here, current score minus minus. Then we'll now do something like current score. The current score element there, dot text content, should be equals to what? Current score. This one here, this value that we have here, this 20. So if you save now, let us use 7 and click. Can you see your guess is too low? Your guess is too low. So if you keep clicking, this reduces, clicking, this reduces, click, this reduces. So keep reducing, and let's move on. And also for this lost game, I think I forgot to add that. This lost game here, for this party, the game is lost. We also want the current scores L dot text content to be equals to 0 to actually. So let them be 0 is 0. So where are we? So that's that. So we've created functionality if the guess number is different from the secret number. So now let us look at another else if. That would be if the guess number is equals to the secret number. That is what we want. But before, okay, we'll look at the other functionality, but let's proceed. If the guess is equals to the secret number. So if the guess is equals to the secret number, this is what we want. We want the message dot text content to be equals to something like you won. Then let's do something like party emoji, something like this. Yeah. Then the next one will be if the guess is equals to the secret number, then the secret number L, that's the secret number element dot text content. That is where we want to review the secret number. If the guess is equal to the secret number, that is when we want to review the secret number. So it's the secret number like this. So I think that's that. And we also want the body, the style of the body. So say body dot style. Now we want to set in background color now. Body dot style the background color. So this is how background color is. So the way we write background color in JavaScript is different from CSS. So for CSS it's going to be background hyphen color, but this one is going to be background capital letter. Can you see the difference? So it's going to be equals to let's use this number now. 3 8 E 5 4 6 save. And the next one is going to be, we are going to do btn check dot class list. I'm going to explain this class list in a much later time than disable, but let me explain it now. Now remember, first disable. Now remember, in this address game here, we have, I think I didn't specify. Okay, I specified the disable. So btn dot, let me just do something like this. Can you see I have a disabled class dot disable, but disable is not inside of what any of the elements in this HTML document. So I just created a class called disable, and I want the pointer event to be what? None. So now we want the pointer event to be none. So we want it to be what? None. I want the color to be this color. So now what we want to do is we want to use an API provided by the DOM called class list that we can use to add class or remove class in our HTML element. Apparently, this dot disable does not belong to any. It's not a class name of any HTML element. We just create it here, create the style here. So now we want to use the class list to add this disable style to the check button. So it means that the moment the guess number or guess value is equals to the secret number, anytime we click on the button check again, it will not work. So that is what we want to do. So to do that, we'll come to this guess game. We'll say btn check dot class list, then dot add. This class list means that we can use class list to add class or to remove class from we can use this class list to add class to an HTML element or to remove existing class from an HTML element. So now we are adding disabled into this class btn. So that is what we are doing. And in this case, aside from that, let us test it out. So if I do 7 now, for example, can you see 7, you won. Now if I click on this, nothing seems to happen. If I click on this, you won't see this, it won't reduce, the number will not reduce, nothing will reduce. This high scores will not reduce, the 9 will not reduce. Why? Because we have set the pointer event to be none, so it will not work. The event will not work at all. So if I click on it, nothing will work. But let's say if I comment this now and I save, and I come here and I do something like 6, it says too low. Let me increase it to 10. It's too high. Let me do 8. It's too low. I think that should be 9. So can you see we have 9? So the secret number has what been reviewed. The moment the guess is equals to what the secret number. The secret number has been reviewed. So if I keep clicking on guess, what is going to happen? This 17 and this, let's see what's going to happen. Can you see the attempt left is also reducing? Can you see the attempt left is reducing? So once we click on now, you now see you lost the game. We don't want that to happen. So the moment we win the game, we want to disable the check. So this is what we have here. Very, very simple. So that's that. Now the next thing is, let's move on. Let's do 7. So why am I getting that my first guess like this? So say 7. Can you see if I click on this check, nothing happened. It will not reduce the attempt left. Now the next thing that I want us to look at is the moment we win, or the moment we guess correctly the secret number. What we want to do is the value of the current high score will now be our highest score. You get that? Will now be our highest score. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to do something like this. we're going to do something like that. We're going to say I score will be equals to, if the current score now, we are going to check if the current score is greater than what? I score. If the current score is greater than I score, then we want the current score. But if not, we want to maintain what? The I score. Do you get it now? We want to maintain the I score. They will now say I score element dot text content equals to what? I score. Then we save. So this is what it means. If the current score is higher than the highest score, then we want the I score to be the current score. But if the highest score is greater than the current score, they want the current score to still maintain its scores. So now this is what I'm talking about. If we refresh and you click on 7, too low, then let's click on something like this. Too low. Now, can you see 13? We guess in the secret number correctly, so 13. So the current score is what? 14. Initially, the I score was what? Is 0. But because the current score is greater than the I score, we now say let the I score now to be the value of the current score. Can you see? To be the value of the current score. So that is the functionality that we have here. You say if the current score is greater, and mind you, this is ternary operator. You say if the current score is greater than what? The I score, then we want the current score to be the new value of what? The I score. If not, we want to maintain what? The I score. So that is what we have here. So if we play again now, for example, okay, let's refresh. So we'll do the new game functionality. So, but this is how it works. This is how it works. So I think that is that. That is that. And one more thing for if the guess is different from the secret number. There's something I want to show you here. Now, if the guess is different from the secret number, this part here. Let us do separation here. So now, if the guess is different from the secret number, we want to have this black, this red, how am I going to put it? This, that once you guess, and the guess is different from the secret number, we want the background color of the body to flash a red background color. Just flash it and go out of it. That is what we want to do. So to do that, first of all, we need to set the body to what? Dot style, then dot background color to this color FF0032. So if we save and let us see what we have. So if you click on 4 and press enter, and you see this is what we are talking about. So it's going to be red. So if we click again, so it's just going to show red, flash red, and go back to black. So for us to be able to do that, now we've set the background color of the body to red. Now we want to remove it. We want to bring it back to what? We want to bring it back to what do you call it now? We want to bring it back to black. So to do that, we are going to do set timeout. That's what they call set timeout. In JavaScript, it's a method. So we say function. I'm going to explain this in a much later time, but just look at what I'm just going to tell you what it simply means. So set timeout is used to how am I going to explain it for you to be able to understand? Set timeout actually performs a particular function at a given time. Set timeout performs or runs a particular function at a given time. It runs it once, that's set timeout. So it only runs it at a particular time. So this is what it means here. So I'm going to create a function. and the function is going to be, I want the body dot style, then dot background color to be equals to 0, to be equals to this color here. Then I want the time to be 200 milliseconds. So 200 milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds make 1 second. So I'm going to pass in the second. So this is what it means here. This set timeout is going to run this function after 200 milliseconds. Do you get it now? So now let me explain it very well. When the guess is different from the secret number, we set the background color of the body to be what? Red. Right? Then we now set a set timeout or create a set timeout that we want to set the body back to what? Black. Only after 200 milliseconds. Only after what? 200 milliseconds. That is when we want to set it back to what? Black. So this is going to delay for 200 milliseconds before it sets the color to what? Black. So this is what I'm talking about. 6 now. Can you see? Click again. Click again. So do you get it now? So that is what I'm talking about. So I think that is that about the functionality for the game. So now the next thing I want us to look at is to create a functionality for the new game. So now what do we want for the new game? For the new game, when we click on, for the new button, once we click on the new game button, what we want to do, we want to initialize all our guest game web app, meaning we want the message to be back to guess a number between 1 to 20. We want the input to be empty. We want the current scores to be 20 back, and want the attempt left to be what? 10. The high score will remain the same. The high score will not change. The value of the high score will not change to 0. It's just going to change. It's not going to change at all. So this is the only thing that we're not changing when we click on this new button. The things that are changing when we click on this new game button is what? The message, the secret number will be back to what? Question mark. The input will be empty. Then the current scores will be back to 20, and the attempt length will be back to what? 10. So we are going to do that. So we'll come here and we'll say, I think that should be btn new dot add event list now. Then we are going to list it for a click event. Then we create a function. Then this function, what we just need to do is to set the current scores back to what? Back to 20. The attempt left back to 10. So and back to 10. So okay, this is what we're going to do. Then we'll now set it in the UI to current score dot test content equals to current score, so that we can see it in our UI. Then here too, I'll say attempt left dot test content equals to attempt left. Then all again. So we are going to generate a random number again. So it's not going to be, so where is it? The random number. So here we are going to generate another random number. Since anytime once we click on the button new, as we click on the button new, we are going to generate a random number from start. So I don't need to use this let since I've declared it with let up there. So generate a random number, and I'll say secret dot test content will now be equals to question mark. Then what again? Then the body dot style dot background color. So we want to set the background color back to what? Back to black. So it's going to be 0. Then the next one will be the button, the btn check dot class list we want to remove that disable element. So say remove what disabled element. Then we want the message text content to be equals to guess a number between 1 to 20. Then the input field, that's the input the value, we want the value to be what cleared. We don't want to see the value, so to clear the value we do what we use empty field, and that is it. So we are done with the button new functionality. So we set the current score back to 20, we set the attempt level back to 10, we initialize the secret numbers so that once we click on the new button, the secret number will generate a random number. Then the secret number L is what we have here, set it to question mark. So blah, blah, blah. So these are the things I will select. We set, we initialize. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's that. So let us implement it. So if I do 8, for example, it's too high, it's too low. So let's do 7. Now can you see you won? So now the current score is now the high score. So if I click on new game, now we are back to what? 20, 10, guess a number, can you see? So now we still have the current score to 12. So if we do something like 9, for example, and then say it's too high, it's too low. Now can you see the high score is no longer 12, it's now what? 18. But if you use it to play new game, I'll do something like let's say 3, it's too low. So let's reduce. Can you see you lost the game? So if you play new game, I will do something like 10. It's too low. Let's 16. I see you won. The current score is 13, but since it's less than what the high scores, so the high scores will still maintain what is high scores. So can you see it? So that's the functionality of the game. Let me increase this the secret number. Secret. Secret number. Let me increase the width to, let's say, 100. Is 50. Okay, good. So I do it to I. I think that's good. That's nice. So that's that. So we are done with our game. Hope you enjoyed it. So please go over the video one more time or as many times as you desire until you are able to wrap your head around it or understand it. So that's that. So in our next class we are going to be building another game. Then after the game we are going to build another website. And then a website. Then after the website, and we're going to have break. So that's that. So enjoy the rest of it.